Welcome. Let's talk Broncos. Or as LTV Muse has coined us, late talk Broncos. It is late. It feels like it's about 10 p.m. here in Colorado. It's only 6:05
It
if
really
you're
does.
keeping track. I'm exhausted. The sun set like 2 hours ago. I'm tired. I'm cold. The only thing that's going to get me through this winter is some relevant Broncos football in the month of January. And just like that, up our alley, Broncos are playing a playoff game this Sunday against the Bills. I said this prior to the Bengals game, and I said this prior to the Chiefs game, and now I'm going to say it prior to this game. Although I feel a little bit different about this one. I was nervous for the first two that I mentioned, and then for this one, I'm feeling almost ready. Like I just want to see the result. I just want to see what happens during this game. And I think that's really important. I want to get a temperature check on all of Broncos country. So if you're watching over on Twitter, good for you, but you should hop on over to YouTube, search Let's Talk Broncos, and join the conversation with us. If you have questions, if you want to talk about something specific, we'll be taking some of those tonight as well. Right now it's Muse who's just chiding us. So please join in, chide him back, or her. Not sure who Muse is still. But if you'd like to, go ahead and retweet the show. That includes you, Mr. Zach Seegers. We'll get the ball rolling here just in a minute as I get my grips about me. Joey, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm so pumped up. I really am. Like, this was one of the shows, Bree, where beforehand, I'm like pacing my room a little bit. Like that little living room you see in the back right there. I'm kind of doing laps. I'm on my phone. I'm following some people. I'm looking at the stats, trying to figure out what advantages do the Broncos have over the Bills? Where do I need to be worried? What's going on? I just haven't had this feeling of excitement for the Broncos in such a long time. I really haven't. Do you remember when I was getting like destroyed because I was saying the Broncos should tank last year?
Last year, yeah.
At the end of last year, I was like, all right, so let's lose them out. Let's get the higher pick. This year is no, we are all going in. I'm so excited. I can't even get over it. I will live with any result in this game, really. I say that. There probably are some that I wouldn't, but like if the Broncos lose, it's not the end of the world for me. This is a massive success of a season, no matter what at this point. 5-win projected team goes to the playoffs on a 10-win team, first winning season since 2016. Like, this is awesome. Everyone, I want you to embrace this. I want you to take this all in. The drought's over. We are in the playoffs.
Exactly that. This comment has scared me once again. Looking at the stats, like your Mr. Seegers. Joey, did you say that on screen? Did you?
I did.
Okay.
If that this is funny though. LTB Muse always comments something where I'm wondering, like, yo, are you in the group chat? This is exactly the conversation we had right before the shot. Like, I'm looking up stats like I'm Zach.
Muse always knows who's going to be on before the public does. He's like the LTB insider. I hate it and I love it at the same time. It like gives me like all of a sudden I thought I was getting ready to text Zach. Zach, what do you? I know it's you, and it was just going to start some infighting again. What's up, the patient? 1991.
What
Good
up?
to see you. All right, let's get into it. LTB community, while you're watching, let us know how you're feeling about Sunday's game. I'm trying to settle into the excitement, right? There was a lot of excitement exactly for the reasons that you mentioned, Joey. Just the long playoff drought, the 10 wins, the winning season, the streaks being broken. And it's created a lot of emotions for all of the NFL, which is strange, right? Like that's how you know you're back as a Broncos fan, when the fans of other teams are frustrated at your success, right? The Bengals fans, I don't know if you watched that video, but the Bengals who were watching the Broncos win against the Chiefs, I kind of took some joy in that, but also just the comments of how it's unfair. You've got Travis Kelce coming in and saying, you know, we didn't tank or we didn't lose, you know, on purpose. We're not afraid of anybody, regardless of whether or not that's true or not. It's funny to be in this position. LTV Muse is bringing up the petitions to have an investigation.
No.
I can never. I can never.
Hey, listen, man. We've lost so much recently. We've missed the playoffs so much recently. Never have we done a change, um, like a change.org account, unless it was to fire a coach, because that's how Broncos fans are. We are going to be hostile about our team, but we aren't crying like that. That was crazy. I love it. That's how you know we're here. We've arrived, as you mentioned, Bree. Like, is big things coming when other fans are crying because of you. This is the first time I can ever remember the Chiefs and Broncos fans being on the same page about something. We're like, okay, yeah, no, go cry, Bengals fans. I don't care anymore. That's this is the only time we're united over this situation. It's definitely smoke in the playoffs, but for right now, hey, shout out to the Chiefs. Shout out to them at the moment.
You love to see it. I had to switch back to my screen to make sure that I wasn't accidentally muted. As you can all tell, Zach Seegers is not here with us tonight, but he will be back again shortly. Zach, we miss you as always. I'm contractually obligated to say that. Now that I got it out of the way, let's get the show rolling with a couple of things that we wanted to cover. Before getting into anything else, oh, hi, Atomic626. Good to see you. Fanatic Dak is in the chat. What's good? I don't know. A slow start to tonight's event. It's almost like we don't have anything to talk about. It might as well be the off season at this point. But
stop it.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous to jump into this for a multitude of reasons, Joey. But as we were talking about in the green room before we got in here tonight, it was a sort of what to expect, right? And I think both of us were kind of waffling a little bit. So let's talk about the what to watch for Sunday's game. Is anything kind of ruminating around your head about what you think could come up in this game that could be the determining key factor?
Absolutely. Here's my big one. My biggest one at the moment. Do the Broncos protect the football? That's a big one. Do the Broncos do they have interceptions? Do they fumble the football? If they protect the football, they give themselves a good chance in this one. The Bengals are first in fumbles per drive and second in interceptions per drive. Bray, here's the thing. One of the last teams in forcing punts per drive. They are very heavy on they're an opportunistic defense there down there. So I think if the Broncos protect the football, they have a really good shot at this one. I don't think the Bills' defense is all that great, honestly. They are surviving off of forcing a lot of turnovers and being really good at it. They're kind of mid, I would say, in every other area. So I think protecting the football is the main thing here for the Broncos. So they're able to do that. They give themselves a shot.
I think a couple of members of that Bills defense would like to challenge that question or that statement just a little bit, but I think I could see where your head is at in saying that it's average, right? My entire emphasis going into this game was that it will be up to Josh Allen and Josh Allen only. I think he sets the gauge here for this Bills team, but there's not a whole lot he can do for his defense other than keep them off the field. And so it'll be interesting. I like that you highlighted turnovers. Josh Allen's good with the football, right? And
amazing.
Bo Nix primarily is seeing some struggles only when he's forced into certain situations, right? So there's got to be a strategy of some very smart play, but they're in cold Buffalo, New York. So does cold weather play a factor into the protection of the ball at all for your what to watch for?
Can you repeat the last part of that, Bree? Sorry.
No, is cold weather going to play a part in the protecting the ball aspect of your what to watch for?
I mean, yeah, the cold weather, I mean, here's my only thing. I feel, and I was critical of it at the time, I didn't have a great understanding of the weather all the way when I was talking about it. This narrative came from that Jets game where it was like a whole crazy storm like we haven't seen football be played in. It was a ridiculous storm. And I don't know if I could blame Bo Nix, especially early in his career, not just a rookie, but early in his rookie year, all the way for that. I'm still I don't know how he does in those weather games. That's something that I'm going to be interested to see. We checked the weather in the group chat. It looked like there were chances of snow, but it didn't predict snow. So I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's the biggest issue of all time. If you guys have seen Bo Nix's hands, that's always an indicator of how someone throws the football in colder weather. Big hands, Bo Nix, big hands guy. No Kenny Pickett around here. So no Teddy Two Gloves around here. He should be good in those cold weather games. It just kind of to be determined, I would say, in that aspect. I don't think that it automatically, in my mind, gives the Bills an advantage in a turnover facet, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. D Bronx said, "You ever wonder why they're not named the Buffalo Buffaloes?" It immediately derailed me and put me into a little bit of an existential crisis where I wanted to start Googling it. Shame on you, D Bronx, for trying to distract me when you know I'm easily distractible. I'll leave Joey on that research, though. Atomic 626 wanted to chime in on the cold weather aspect, saying rain and cold is different, though. In the Jets game, it was slipperier. In Buffalo, it will be cold, but it's Denver will be used to it. I don't believe that this weather is going to be increasingly impactful. There's no blizzards in the forecast, which really does. It bodes well for both teams. And so it's not going to be I don't think it's going to heed exactly what both teams are trying to do. I think the Broncos defense, right, is going to have to impact the offense and their efficiency as much as possible. But it's multifaceted there. Josh Allen, and I want to kind of throw this out there as the what to watch for me, is such a threat as a quarterback, not only because he's big and he's extremely difficult to take down, but just being as mobile and playing the best football of his career this year. You know, a lot of people nationally, the narrative was saying that the Bills were going to be a down team. And I'm not going to put them in the same category as being underrated like the Broncos were, but there was a question mark of whether or not that team would continue their ascension. Not always able to get it done, right? They don't fare well in the postseason. That's why I'm feeling so flippant about this game. I go back and forth from I've never really been scared of the Bills, but I have been concerned about Josh Allen and what he's able to bring to the table and the magic that he's able to pull off, because I swear every game there's a circumstance in which he pulls something off and you're just staring in bewilderment, right? This is the game you're not looking forward to in this season. I highly doubt the Broncos are looking at it in that capacity, but I know that the threat is going to be their quarterback and what he's able to get accomplished. Joey, how do the Broncos and the Broncos defense slow down Josh Allen? What is the emphasis here for? Do you try to take away his legs? Because you can't focus on one aspect and hope the other one doesn't blow up in your face. That's a live by the sword, die by the sword predicament. So what's the strategy going into this game?
I think it's this. I don't even necessarily like my take here wouldn't necessarily be Josh Allen oriented. It would be make sure you stop the run so you at least have a facet gone. Like you at least have that area gone. And now we can focus on Josh Allen. We can make him a world beater. If we win just because if we lose just because Josh Allen happens to be that amazing, that might be what you have to deal with. Stop the run and then make it where Josh Allen has to be Superman. We don't have Superman on our other side of the field to match that. But we do have a really good defense, and you would like to force him in scenarios where he does have to be that to win. So I would say stopping the run is the big thing. That's what they've been so amazing at this year. They're a great rushing offense. They kind of have a three-headed monster back there at running back, James Cook being the most notable on my fantasy team. Hell of a pick by me. I gotta give myself a pat on the back, man. Leading the league in touchdown. But yeah, that's what I would do. It's stopping the run and then Their receivers aren't the greatest. I think that's notable. Everyone kind of knows that. If you play man-to-man against these guys, I totally trust our corners to be able to cover these guys. Just can Josh Allen be Superman or not? What's going to happen there? And can you at least match that on the other side? If you're limiting their rushing attack, if they're hitting on all aspects in this game, it's not going to be easy. If they get running the football really well, the Broncos have no shot. So I would say stopping the run is my biggest thing to helping the Broncos defense stop Josh Allen.
And Zach was quick to point out that the up and downness of the Broncos run defense has been sort of the question mark of the season, right? Are they going to allow a whole lot of that run game, whether it's Josh Allen or otherwise? I want to touch on that a little bit, but then I also want to say in the adverse of that, Vance Joseph has done quite well at limiting explosive offenses this year. What else plays in the fact? Is it the pass rush that's going to inhibit Allen and his time to throw? What else in the defense are we looking? Because I know it's going to be a defense heavy game. Like that's what I'm anticipating, is that it's going to come down, at least this is what I'm surmising, to the nitty grittiness of this Denver Broncos defense. And they've had some certain games that have not gone their way, that have almost kind of sullied their top 3 defenses in the league storyline that has been going around. So how do they prevent kind of faltering here? What's the big one? If it's going to be takeaways, I could totally see that. My bold prediction is sacks related. What else is going to carry this Bronco teams forward? We can't rely solely on the defense, right? But they're going to have to manufacture something to an elite level.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what I would say here is just like how much man-to-man the Broncos run, and not just how much they run, but how good they are at it. When you have Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain playing man-to-man, and then you pair that, okay, who's our opponent? It's the Buffalo Bills. Like Keon Coleman and these dudes down there, they aren't the greatest separators. Like I said earlier, I totally trust my corners in this game to go out there and cover those guys. I think that's kind of our key. That's a big advantage the Broncos have in this. They're able to stop the run. You force them into passing situations. We have the corners to cover. It's then putting it on Josh Allen's plate saying, hey, how good are you actually? I would say one of the biggest Broncos pitfalls in this game, though, Bree, is with how much man-to-man they run. Okay, we have our linebackers. We have our safeties. We have our players. We're not that great at these running back passes, these wheel routes, these type of stuff coming out of the backfield. Ty Johnson, hell of a receiving back for the Bills. James Cook can really catch the ball too for the Bills, and they've utilized them in that aspect. And I would say advantage Bills in that area. If they're able to attack that facet of the Broncos defense, hey, better to you.
I don't know if you're have ESP or you're a savant or what's going on, but I feel like you answered Tyler Malone's question here pretty good. What about our linebackers guarding the wheel route out of the backfield? Many teams have taken advantage of that over the latter half of the season. Do we think anything changes for this game?
That's funny. I don't. I would go into this game playing the defense that got me here. Of course, there's some stuff that you change when you're playing your opponent. I think the Broncos should do all of that. I don't think the Broncos should do an absolute flip of what they're doing right now. They've lived off of what they're living on, continue doing what works. The defense is a massive reason why the Broncos are here where they are today, if not the main reason, right? Having the most sacks in the league this year, something that hasn't been done the amount of sacks since Philadelphia's team that ended up winning the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't change much. I think the Bills probably just do have an advantage in that way. I don't want to change anything and give the Bills advantages in ways I don't even know. So I would just continue doing what I'm doing and hope our results live in a good way there. They point in a great direction.
Yeah, there's obviously different strategies for your opponents that you're facing, but I love that, Joey. Don't quit what you're doing. Don't try to get fancy with stuff. Although we'd like to see some improvement in some areas. I think if you change anything, you're kind of screwing with what's been working up to this point, right? 10 wins is a successful season. I like to comment earlier about how everything else, I think it was Mike Carmelini, he's basically saying that you're playing with house money everything from here on out's a wash. We've done
Facts,
well.
Mike. That is super true. That's another facet of this. Like, the Broncos have no pressure on their back at all in this game. Win or lose, everyone's expecting you to lose. If they lose, it's okay. You know what? It was expected. Bills are a really good football team. You lost. Meanwhile, on the Bills side, you have people every single day. The casual fan, I'm not one of them. Josh Allen's amazing. But you have everyone down there looking at the Bills like, man, is this team ever going to win a Super Bowl? Are they ever going to get over the hump? It's different. Like, the teams are in way different places. A lot of pressure on the Bills, like none on the Broncos. I think that's a good point.
Joey, I'm glad that you put it that way, because it's all pressure on the Bills. They have to prove that they're not the team that falters in the playoffs. It's like the monkey on the back of Aaron Rodgers, which is why I think he still keeps coming back, right? It's going to be the same story for Josh Allen if he's not able to get a Super Bowl win. It'll just continue to follow him around. I love D-Bronk's point of also, if Mahomes wasn't in existence, there's a Josh Allen conversation of whether or not he's one of the greatest of all times. I say one of, because I hear all these crazy people say that Mahomes is the greatest of all time and he hasn't even reached the precipice of a Tom Brady. But alas, it brings us to what we're actually fighting here tonight, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, it has to be anybody but the Kansas City Chiefs, because I cannot watch them win another Super Bowl and have to listen to that crazy narrative for another season. He's not in the same conversation as a Tom Brady. That's ridiculous. Now, what they've been able to do with a coach Andy Reid, this team is going places, and they're going to continue to hold that era of football. But Patrick Mahomes has had some great teams around him, and he's won not enough to be considered the greatest of all time, because 7 Super Bowl rings.
He's not there yet. He's not there yet.
And maybe one day he does reach that, but he would actually have to go play for another team and win one there to even be considered. So just glad that I am I'm just getting you all on the same page as me. LTB is resting a starter tonight, still starting shit. That is what we do.
Shout out to you, Mike.
But if Mike, if I hear any sort of crazy stories out there on the timeline that we're throwing this episode, simply so we don't have to face I don't know, give me a tweeter who is a Bengals adjacent level, and I'll start beef with them. I think that's what I can say. Mahomes is the best QB I've seen. Brady is the greatest and most accomplished. ... for now. Zach Seegers. All right. I do have to caveat that Zach Seegers is a decade younger than me, and so he should respect his elders, but that's fine. LTB Muse with the super chat 199. This show is show amazing without Zach Stackers. Just kidding. LOL. Thank you so much, LTB
Muse. Listen, I got some stats today. I'm filling multiple roles right here, right? I came in with the stats. I got analytics on deck. I don't even know the websites. I just happen to be following Zach Seegers. I'm pulling from him, claiming it's mine. I'm stealing your shit, Zach. Come back on the show. This could just be a regular event. I'm coming on here. All I got to do is follow Zach Seegers, steal the stats, come on here with anything I got to say. It could be a 2-man show, Brie. That's all I'm saying. We could make it work.
We should deep fake you with Zach Seegers' face and voice so that you can just come on here and start making some crazy claims on his behalf. Although a 2-man show is wild, because I think you could play both roles of Joey and Zach, and then it would just be you on like a split screen, but you'd have to pop camera to camera.
It's just me arguing against me.
Yeah.
What do you say about Vic Fangio?
I think it could work. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but when have we ever been normal? Joey, let's get into the bold prediction segment of the show. Although I did want to point out, how about an honorable mention? I talked about Josh Allen. I almost called him Zach Allen. That's where my brain is. What if Bo Nix is actually the threat? If it all sits on Bo Nix's ability to turn up just one more notch, right? He's been rolling with momentum. He just came off a fantastic home game appearance where he ran the entire lap of the stadium just to congratulate the fans. Like, he's riding high. Not a whole lot of pressure going into your first playoff game because you're new here. Like you just started. You don't know how this works. You're just kind of trying to figure it out. What if Bo Nix just lights us all on fire with his ability to run the ball, move the ball? Bo Nix's legs should not be discredited for how important a role they're going to play going into this matchup. Do you think he leans into that even more since he made even a statement that he needs to run the ball more?
Right. So I've been asking for it the whole year. Where are the designed runs for Bo Nix? He can really do it. I feel like we even saw more with Russell Wilson sometimes when he was a Bronco, right? More designed runs when Russell Wilson, especially after Hackett got relieved of his quote unquote gave up his playing. No, he was relieved his play calling duties. And then Justin Otten came in, and they had a lot even more design runs for Russell Wilson than the Sean Payton is doing with Bo Nix right now. Bo Nix is a much better athlete. I think they should do this. Will they? I don't know. A good argument to say he shouldn't would be you shouldn't put your quarterback in those predicaments where he could be hurt or is taking all these type of hits. If there's ever a time to do it, it's in the playoffs, though. Sean, if you have that in your bag, show me it. And I know you do. Taysom Hill days, stuff like that going on. Give me a little of that this next week. Give the Bills something they haven't seen, and I think a lot of that could do with designed runs with Bo Nix. That could be a fun aspect.
It could be a fun aspect. D-Bronx said for a guy who wrote "run it" on his play sheet, he's kind of bad at doing it. In all fairness, I've been told that the "run it" is actually run it as designed plays, like run these plays and don't make any changes to them, not actually the legitimate and literal sense of run the ball. But honestly, if you're going to put it out there for the world to be able to read the back of your play call sheet, then you are open to any and all judgments that come your way. And that's kind of just my feeling on it. Fanatic Dak, I love your question here. How does the LTV crew feel about covering the Broncos in the playoffs? The playoff drought is over. I think we kind of touched on it to start, but I really like that this is a very poignant question. When we traded for Russell Wilson, I will even say at the end of Drew Lock's tenure, or maybe the middle of it, I was sort of starting to feel this kind of way about the Broncos in where the seasons weren't fun. There was moments of fun and there's excitement, and I've met many near and dear people in my life through the Denver Broncos. But there was something that was just so disheartening. And then as the decisions kept getting a little bit stranger, I think that's when I was like, I'm going to be 40 before this team is good. And I get to cover a winning season where I feel like things are headed in the right direction. And then it changed overnight. And now I'm sitting here, week 18 has passed. And now we're talking a wild card playoffs, not just a potential berth, not an, oh my goodness, there's a 70% chance. Like, the Broncos play playoff football this weekend. Joey, I don't know if it's surreal for you, but as someone who saw, Super Bowl 50, and that was very impactful for me, but even as a kid in the back-to-backs, it didn't really sink in how pivotal and how hard that is and what it takes to get that done and what the fan base goes through, because I was relatively young the first go around, of how it was going to feel to even sniff in that direction. And I'm not saying the Broncos are doing the whole wild card to Super Bowl run that they've done in the past, but what if Missouri Football 2024 said I could see the Broncos upsetting. Your perfect timing there for your comment, because I could also see it happening. And then it'll be another week of coverage where we're not talking about off-season moves and, man, what could they have done differently? And I'm sick of this. And sometimes showing up to do this show is hard. It's been a lot of excitement, Joey, and it's felt different. That's how I feel personally about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought the point of you saying like back in the day, it didn't feel like this was even a possibility, or you didn't know how lucky we were at the time.
Yeah.
So for real, it's like, hey God, if you're listening, I've learned my lesson. I've learned. I was taking it for granted. It feels like that a little bit. Like, okay, we are finally here. Finally, Finally, I did take it for granted. Usually by this time, I am all meme edition. Like I'm all online, talking, doing memes, joking. Um, Justin Otten when Nate Hackett was here. If you guys want to go look up my old Justin Otten tweets online, that's usually what I was doing towards this part of the season. It's way different Broncos. Super excited about it. It's amazing.
It is. It is amazing. Thanks for the question, Phonetic Dak. If anyone else wants to get questions in, it doesn't even have to be Broncos playoff related at this point, because that's just how I'm feeling. Samuel Castro wanted to know who saw the Bo Nix hype video and what did you all think about it? Joey, did you see the latest one from Bo Nix? I can't remember. All of them start blending together for me. I can't tell what was posted by the Broncos social team or like what was fan made or what the Bo Nix one was. I think I've maybe seen it floating around Twitter, but I wouldn't be. All I know is I'm hyped. Anything you put out Broncos related that's like clips and highlights related, I am super excited about, because I feel like there's been so many big plays and big moments this season. And because it's on a positive tilt, those stand out more. So anything they want to put out there. Also, I think Bo Nix has just a great attitude about him. I love that he's leaning into those things. And listen, it's a PR move. It's all those good things. You want to get in the good graces of Broncos country. And man, is he doing a great job of it. I just think it's a fun time to be a Broncos fan. And saying that feels a little wild. Like, man, in 2015 too, I don't think I realized how important it was. Going from watching football because I like to watch football to watching football and understanding football, and then ultimately like just digesting it that way, it just hits different. So if anyone else is in that circumstance or knows how that feels, there's that. Jason Yale said the Bo Nix video is fire. I'm glad you saw it. Dwight Simpson, great QB. You have your QB, Dwight.
Said go Bills. Dwight, LTV News and me wants to know: are you a Broncos hater or a Bills fan? We welcome either way. Screw the Bills.
We do. We welcome you either way.
But also screw the Bills this next week. I just gotta say that this is Broncos fans in here. But welcome, yeah.
LTV Muse fired back in a not so friendly way. Let's get this clear. Drew Aller is obviously the next Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, I mean, hey, strong arm, all the tools in the world. I think another year would do him well. Now, if I were advising him as an agent, I might say come out this year because this quarterback class is kind of weak at the top. Drew Aller puts his name right in that mix. So maybe more money this year for him than next year. So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into some draft talk. We have plenty to cover this offseason. Dwight Simpson is a Bills fan. Well, we appreciate you joining. I love that you tried to tune in to see what the opposition is saying. We're all smiles over here, man. We're just happy to be here. So thanks for joining us. You guys have a lot riding on the line. Dwight, if you're still watching, let us know what you think is going to be a key to the game. We'd love to talk about it. And we're happy you joined us for a moment. Okay, let's get into it. Bold prediction. All right. Okay. So the Bills' offensive line, it just been so good this year, right? They've only allowed 14 sacks this season, which is the fewest by any team since 2009. All right. Crazy. Yeah, I know. And I was looking at it and I said, this is a stupid, bold prediction. Alas, I persist. Ravens had 3 against this team. They're second in sacks overall. Broncos, obviously, are first overall in sacks in the league. So I'm going bold because of the amount of sacks that Josh Allen is capable of taking. And I am going to go with 2 sacks for the Broncos on Josh Allen as a bold prediction, simply because not a lot of teams have been able to get it done. Now, the Broncos are a sack-happy team. You have both Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito in double digits. This Bills offensive line that is the reason Josh Allen is able to play the football that he's been playing this season. The protection has been great, but I just think the pass rush is better here for this Denver Broncos team. They're young, they're hungry, they're mean, they're gritty, they're chasing records, and they're playing friends and foes. And I still think that 2 is bold, simply because the amount that has happened this year.
I'm not going to take you up on this one, Bree. I agree with you. I think that they will have 2 or more sacks this game. Bills are really good in that facet. Now we just had to kind of put in perspective of how many sacks the Broncos have had this year, which is the most since when the
63,
Eagles won their Super Bowl in a
70.
season. Yes. They have more sacks this year than the Broncos Super Bowl 50 legendary defense did. So I will agree with you on this one. I think they will have more production than that. It's really about pressures is really what we're looking for here. The Broncos can force bad decisions, get in his face. That's what you're looking for. But also pressures lead to sacks. So I will. I'll agree. I don't think I'm going to take you up on this one, Bray.
Okay. All right. I hate it because I am in the lead for everyone listening at home in the bold predictions predict off. I guess that's what we're going to call it. So it's Joey's not giving me the opportunity to earn any points against him because he doesn't feel like my bold is bold enough. He's very nice to me though when he disagrees with me. If Zach was on the show, he'd call him backwards and set him down and have a strong talk about it. But he's being nice with me, so I appreciate it. Fanatic Dak has a bold prediction. Broncos force Josh Allen into 2 interceptions, and they steal a win. Fanatic Dak is parlaying his bold predictions. 2 interceptions is bold, but you also have a Patrick Surtain who leads the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I have the hiccups. Pardon me. I could see Pat easily getting an interception here. I could see one of the big guys getting an interception here. If it's going to be pure chaos out on the field, I wholeheartedly support this. Parlaying these two together, although I love the bet, I'm going to go against you there, Fanatic, only simply because it is pretty bold, and I got to play it safe today. Joey.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a beautiful thing, but I'm going to end up taking you up on it. Whenever I've said this a million times on here, once you start adding stuff into it, 2 interceptions and they steal the W. 2 interceptions definitely does lead to stealing a W more times than not. But I don't. I think I'm going to take you up on this one. I do not agree.
Fanatic got us with the boldness of his prediction. Rash Factor, let's go Broncos. Love Bo Nix, Broncos country from North Carolina. Welcome to the show, Rash Factor. We appreciate you jumping on with us, having a conversation. I know you're excited that the Broncos are in the playoffs. Listen, it's a big game coming up on Sunday, Rash. If you have a bold prediction, and that's a prediction that you think will happen, and maybe we feature it if we want to bet against or for it. Samuel Castro, exactly. Pressure turns into turnovers. If they're able to make Josh Allen uncomfortable, mistakes could be the key factor for this Broncos team stealing a dub. Coop said, did we mute Zach permanently? Yeah, unfortunately, what you guys can't see is he's sitting in the green room and we've completely revoked his ability to come into the show. So if I wanted to, I could let him in and give him, some conversation time, but he's in timeout right now. So technically, he's been muted permanently. He will be back at some point, but tonight it's just me and Joey. He always comes back. We tell him, hey, it's okay. And then he comes back and he logs on. So
he will be back for all the Zach Seekers fans. Amazing analyst, amazing guy. He will be back soon. Make sure you guys are tuning in. Major piece to the show.
Dwight Simpson said Allen needs to be patient, just like he has been. No turnovers. I think turnovers are going to it's going to be the minuscule mistakes that makes this outcome of this game either sweet or bittersweet. Not looking. I can't get over the excitement. Right? I said nervous, and now I'm like, oh, I really want to watch this game on Sunday because I can't wait to see how it turns out. I'm like, if they lose, that's great. How are they going to lose? Like, give me something to pick apart there. Zach said he's passing on, agreeing with my prediction. It wasn't bold enough for either of you, and now I'm sad. Samuel Castro wanted to re-up there on my bold prediction, saying that he sees Cooper with 2 sacks alone. That leaves so much more emphasis for other members of Broncos country to get it done. You know what this is going to be? This is going to be a 4 or 5 sack game. it's going to be the turning point on what this Bills offense has seen. And well, that's just how it's going to be. Listen here, LTB community. Sunday post game with David talks Broncos. Zach Seegers will be back in the house. So everyone who's missing Zach, you can tune on there. Sounds great. Zach's supposed to be working, but I love that he's still here with us tonight in the chat. Hopefully nobody sees what he's doing. And an orange and blue heart for everyone else. Okay. All right. I've gotten sidetracked again. Let's pick apart Zach's bold prediction, which is Bo Nix will throw more touchdowns than Josh Allen. Now, this has the back around loophole, of course, that Josh Allen could run for another touchdown. But Bo Nix has got wheels too. So Bo Nix has to throw for more touchdowns than Josh Allen. But Josh Allen could run for more touchdowns, I guess, is the caveat.
Or they just get, or the Bills win, right? He could also be picking the Bills to win, but they score with rushing touchdowns just generally. It could be James Cook, could be any one of their running backs. I don't know if this is. Yeah, I don't know if this is all that bold, really. The Bills' running game has been massive this year. Josh Allen is always a threat to run it in for a touchdown when he's in the red zone. I don't know if this is really all that bold, honestly. Bo Nix has a ton of passing touchdowns on the year. He really does. This is very possible. This could happen and the Broncos still lose. With James Cook, like I mentioned earlier, I think he has the most rushing touchdowns in the league this year. I don't think I honestly think it's more likely that Bo Nix has more passing touchdowns than Josh Allen this game. Total touchdowns, if you were to do that, maybe I would say this is bold. But for how it is, I agree with Zach. I don't think this is that bold. I think this is more of a coin flip. So in how the game works, at least the gamesmanship of it, I would rather us both lose than one of us win and one of us lose, because I think it's a coin flip. I think this is 50-50. I don't think it's that bold. So I'm going to agree with Zach on this one. I think it's very possible that Bo Nix has more passing touchdowns.
And then Zach said, more to be clear, Ty would go to you. I'm also agreeing with Zach because, yeah, absolutely. 50-50. Wow. I'm in the mindset of screwing everybody over for a win and strategically.
News says I was right. He does. He's 16 and he's tied for 16 touchdowns on that, by the way. Thank you for that stat.
Thanks, Stat Man Muse, who could also be Zach Seegers. I don't know. All these bold predictions are getting me so hyped. I can feel it hyped up. I feel I can run through a wall. Samuel Castro, don't run through a wall. But if you feel like it, I love that we're getting you hyped up because I love I'll edit to total TDs, have to take a big swing. So he's now re-upping his bold prediction to total touchdowns. So now we have to
This is where I'll end up taking him up on it. Okay, so now I'll take this bet, Zach. I think Josh Allen is a big threat to run in the red zone too. When you talk about just having like a 6'5", 250-pound body, it's something like he's a massive dude. Not actually 250, I'm exaggerating, but huge dude. They're at quarterback in the red zone. He could definitely run it in. So I'll end up taking Zach on this one now.
Okay. He's 237. So I mean, not that, basically 250 on a post-holiday governance. What was I gonna say? Oh, I have to vote. I'm seeing the game being close as though it's within 3 points. So I don't think Bo Nix will have more total touchdowns than Josh Allen.
Cool. Take him
on the bet. So I'm taking him on the bet too.
Cool. All right, Zach. There you go. You got it.
I really hate how difficult that game is for my brain. Coop said could be a big game for the interior defensive line. McGovern gives up a ton of pressures and hurries. Interesting. Zach Allen final monster game upon us.
Yeah, I mean, this interior defensive line of the Broncos is really good, by the way. I don't know. Like the last year, it was really weak. I don't know if people really appreciate how much it's changed drastically in a year,
Mm-hmm.
that interior defensive line. Very
Mm-hmm.
shallow room. All right. The top two guys are cool. It was like DJ Jones
Yep.
and Zach Allen were your two like main dudes up there. They've revamped that entire interior defensive line to make it the strongest position on this Broncos team. They are solid up front. And I think they'll have success against pretty much any offensive line. The interior defensive line of the Broncos is just that good. And they're deep. They have a rotation, like the addition of Malcolm Roach,
Mm-hmm.
even Tillman. Like these
Yep.
guys
I
are
was
good
just gonna
football
say.
players. So, yeah.
We got a Bills fan to give us money, $4.99 super chat from Dwight Simpson. I don't know what a super sticker is, but Dwight, we appreciate you so much for not only tuning into us tonight, but then paying us to talk about your team in a not great light. I mean, don't get us wrong. We've said all night that the Bills are a good football team and Josh Allen is basically a god. But we really appreciate you reaching into your pocket and deciding we were the goofballs you were going to give a super chat tonight. So thank you very much, Dwight. And hey, if you ever want to listen to us talk about the Broncos or other football teams, we do have film programs, film breakdown shows for you, Fulfilled Read, here on the Let's Talk Broncos Network. You can subscribe if you just want to visit us again and say hi. Maybe we'll see you another time, maybe next season. Do we play the Bills next season? No, right? It's on a rotating schedule. It'll be a while, but maybe we'll see you again in the playoffs, Dwight. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support. The rest of you, get your act together. I'm just kidding. We appreciate every single one of you. Joey.
Yeah, mine. All right.
No, wait, hold on. Question for you.
Okay.
Sorry, but yes, I wanted you to give your bold prediction. Is JFM a Bronco next season?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then how do we we just ask the Penners for some money, like a loan, like an allowance? Like, please don't take him from us.
John Franklin Myers is awesome. He's a massive piece to this Broncos defense. He's a versatile piece to this Broncos defense. He can move up and down the line. I think like really the only position that he can't play like during any circumstance is probably nose. He could play edge, he could play 3-tech, he could play 4-tech, he could play 5-tech. He can move up and down that defensive line. Good at pass rushing across all of them, and then also a really good run defending edge when you need one. So John Franklin Myers is a Bronco. Good football player, and we need him.
Good. I hope we save everybody, and I hope we don't move on from anyone. That's just how I'm feeling. Cody Daly said, didn't he restructure his 2-year deal at the beginning of the year? I don't know, Cody. That's my earnest question to all of you. I don't have Zach here who's available. Next season, his deal is up after 2025, which is what I was referencing on Sunday, Bree. If you re-up on Allen and Benito, it'll be hard to bring him back after this deal. I know Zach was in the car with me after the game, just basically telling me that, that thing about being screwed in, tied up in cap, in dead cap hell, this is what you're going to run into. And I said, I understand that, but I don't want to lose Jonathan Franklin Myers. So whatever we need to do. And then he brought up the idea that you can't also pay Allen and Benito and pay JFM. So we'll have to talk about it in the offseason. Joey, what I can't get in I can't get into this nitty gritty, but I want to ask the question, pose it to you, and we'll talk about it this offseason on what it looks like. What's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction is I think Marvin Mims is off to, he's been red hot recently for the Broncos. I don't think it stops this week. I think he has 100 yards this next week. 100, I'm going to go receiving yards. I think he has 100 receiving yards in the playoffs. I think Marvin Mims is a big X factor in this game. So what do you think, Bree? I'll throw it back to you. Agree or disagree? And then after that, I'll give some of my reasoning.
It really shouldn't. That's not really that many, but Court had a really
100.
great game the other night, and he had 87. So
It's a
but
lot
they've
of
been
yards.
using him. They've been using him so uniquely that it's like it almost just begs the opportunity to allow that, right? Like now he's the trusted hand too. Um uh I'm
He's
gonna
only
just
had 100 yards one time this year. He only has 503 on the total season. Against the Bengals, he had 8 for 103. He obviously had that spectacular catch. Oh, actually, he had 105 against the Browns. So he's had 100 yards twice this year. Every other game has been below 60.
yeah, no, I'm gonna simply from a statistical standpoint, I'm gonna have to disagree. Um Although LTB Muse is saying obviously it isn't bold, but Bo is going to connect deep with Mims while on the run in the first half. Um, I man, I could see like a large yardage play just chunking into this bold prediction. I'm still gonna disagree simply from trying to win point of view and not from a what I think will happen point of view.
Zach asked just yards or yards and touchdowns. I'm just going just yards. This is just 100 yards. That's what's going on here. I'm going 100 yards for Marvin Mims receiving in this game. And a lot of the reason why, I mean, they have a really bad screen defense. They've given up the most screen yards of any team in the NFL this year. Marvin Mims is our screen threat. They also are heavy on giving up explosive plays on defense. Who's our most explosive play guy on our team? It also happens to be Marvin Mims. I think he's an X factor in this game. I wouldn't be shocked to see. I mean, they've done so many of those orbit screens, bubble screens, different type of screens for Marvin Mims this year. This would be the time if you have fakes. I promise you right now, Bills coaches are drilling in their head. Sean Payton and the Broncos run a shit ton of screens. We need to figure out how to stop that. If Sean Payton has a fake, and I know he does in his playbook, this might be the week to bring that out. I think Marvin Mims is an X factor. Even if he doesn't get this 100 yards this game, he is going to be a massive decoy across the field.
Mm.
Fake screens, all those little orbit stuff, motion evens that they do with him, all of that's going to be a big deal. Marvin Mims is an X factor this week.
Jeez, and with that kind of with that kind of real general with that kind of rationalization, there's the word I was looking for. It's giving me pause, but I still think I have to stick with my original thought here. Um, I don't know, man. I want to see it happen though, but I feel far too positive. We got to come back down to the hope scope and get our score predictions in. If you're watching along with us, give us your score prediction, what you think the matchup is going to be on Sunday. Polar man, good to see you. If normal water is the rational Bills win opinion, this show is the Kool-Aid powder propaganda. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Well, we're glad you're sitting along with us. Listen, I've tried to be rational, and I do think there's a good probability that the Bills will win this game. This is a Broncos show though, right? I would hate to come on here and try to speak against it, right? This is the first opportunity they've had in 9 seasons to get it done. And there's a possibility that on any given Sunday, any team in the NFL can come in and create an absolute dumpster fire for everyone involved by beating a Bills team. A 7 against a 2 is not impossible. It's a beatable team. The Chiefs are beatable, and heavy favorites are always ripe for an upset. So we've talked about it all night. The defense has to play at an entirely different level. They have to be that defense that we want to see. And I think if that happens, anything can happen. Now, it'll be difficult, and it's a very hostile environment when you go there against the Bills. Paul, you're right. I am being a homer right now, but that's okay. We've already covered all of the things that could go wrong and why this Bills team could beat this Broncos team, but they're expected to. Why would we talk about only what's expected? Why not talk about all of the different things that come as a part of being a fan of football in general? And we cover the Broncos, so why not talk about how they might win? Atomic 626 said in the Kay Adams show, Mims basically said that Sean kind of has Mims look disinterested to distract the defense. Then he takes the screen from 0 to 100. I can see that working against the Bills defense. I don't know why you're showing your hands, why you're showing your cards, but I love this. I think
That's when you pull out the fake right then.
You're like, just kidding. I was disinterested the entire time. It'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I know all of Broncos country is too. I'm going 24-21 Broncos for this game. I say if they pull it off, it's going to be a close one. A little bit of a bigger separation than their win last season, but it'll be down to the wire, and a field goal will separate this game, most likely late, to prevent a tie and going into any sort of overtime. Joey, what's your score prediction?
Mine is I think the Broncos cover the spread. I'm not going to pick them to win though. I think the Bills win 27-24. Really, and this isn't that disappointing to me. I've said it a million times. The Broncos are here, and it should be kind of a shock. It's a shock to most people, right? At least the majority of people. Vegas had them at 5.5 wins to begin the year. They're sitting here at 10 and in a playoff game. This is more of a case of the Bills and Josh Allen's time and not the Broncos' time yet. And it's approaching. I just don't think it's this year. They're going to get their, dip their feet into the playoffs, see what that's all about. They're gonna make it closer than what I think people expect it to be. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, really good football team. It just feels like it's Josh Allen's time now. Meanwhile, we're gonna have to wait a little bit for the Broncos to get there, maybe at least another year.
I think that's I'm not going to sit here and chide that whatsoever. I think it's a totally rational approach to this game. I waffled back and forth, and I just couldn't. It didn't feel right picking the Bills. LTV Muse said 23-17 Broncos. Looks like we might be going for a sweep. Paul said Denver 38, Bills 24. He's going over on that point total, which is at 47.5. Zach said, I'm feeling 27-26, even closer than mine. He said Broncos, but that seems too crazy almost. All right. He's hesitant. He'll have a final answer prior to our score release going out. LTV listeners, just so you know, you're doing quite well in the entire LTB score prediction little ranking system there. If you don't know what we're talking about, go follow us over on Twitter, the LTB podcast, and check out the rankings over there. Dwight Simpson said 31-20 Bills. There's the sweep is off the table. The Bills fan has spoken. He thinks that we will not cover the spread, and honestly, I respect you for it. Atomic 626 said 28-27 Broncos. We're going down to the wire on that one. Samuel Castro said Broncos win 31-28. Let's go Broncos. And Polar Man said 17-9 Bills. 9 points. Yikes. All right. That'll do it for tonight. That is good. I never know how to get out of here, Joey.
No, all good. I'm just excited, man. I want Broncos, all of Broncos country. I said at the beginning of the show. I'm going to reiterate it now. I want everyone to sit there and enjoy this game. That's what I want. The Broncos weren't supposed to be here. We haven't been here in forever. Second longest drought in NFL history is over with. We are in the playoffs. And I just think getting to this point, it's just bright signs for the future. I tweeted it after the Broncos won this last game. I think on paper, this is probably going to be one of their least talented teams you're going to see for the Broncos in the near future, at least. Next year, they should be more talented than the Broncos, or than this year's Broncos. So I just want everyone to enjoy it. That's all. Enjoy this game. It's going to be a fun time, and it was a hell of a season.
It was a hell of a season. We've had a ton of fun. What a great culminating point. I love that we're just so positive. We're like, win or lose, guys, we'll see you next week. Really happy about it. We are. And that's how you should feel. It's going to sting either way, right? But if you go in with that mentality, you can't get your feelings too hurt. No one was expecting this. You were ranked last in the league, roster talent wise. People were calling you absolute shoo-ins for the number 1 first overall pick. And look at us. Look at us now. If you don't mind, like and comment to support the show if you're watching this after the fact. And we'll see you for Sunday's post game. If you're looking for more Let's Talk Broncos content, go watch our Monday React show where it was the trio of us. Yes, Zach Seegers was part of that show. Altitude Adjustment, which aired yesterday. And then Full Field Read is back this week to break down Week 17 and Week 18 with Robbie and Frankie. We'll see you guys for the Sunday post game. And then Monday, we'll be back together to talk about that Bills game. Go Broncos.